that makes it hard because it's easier to say, we have this group of people, let's start a program, they'll all show up, but then nothing happens. So it's a personal charge to me.
And I love that.
Yeah.
What can you, I don't know if you can think back, but think back to like at what point in your life you found that an older person's experience or voice was valuable. Like what led you to that?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a mix of a little bit of two things. One is I think my dad wants to be Buddha in a lot of ways, and that he's always just dropping
nuggets,
tokens. And of course, when I was a teenager, I just disregarded every single one of them. And Dad, if you're listening to this, I am sorry about that because at some point in the past few years, which is so stupid, but I think most people come to this point of, oh, my dad actually was right. Like, and from there, kind of stopped giving him the chance to just drop it and just called him. It was like, hey, I'm about to leave this job and it's kind of scary and I'm about to move to Abilene and I feel like that's right. I'm discerning that this is what God wants for me. But what the heck is a 401k? And like, how do I do this? How do I leave in a good way and start in a good way? Because you've done that before.
Yeah.
So a little bit of that, and then just having the fortune of growing up at a youth camp where there were guys whose job it was, if they did it well, to pursue me and just get to know me. And so I had this influence of a couple of older guys that weren't my dad's age, but when I got to college, they just finished. And so I could call them. Or when I started dating and there's physical tension and trying to navigate that and all of the things that come with being in college, I would call Nick Hearn and just, I know that you don't have the right answer, but I know you have an answer. Sure. You have an experience. And I think that's the other.
Sorry, Nick.
Well, I mean, no, I don't think you should go to an old person thinking you have everything right. Tell me exactly what to do, but just you have an experience to offer that I don't.
Yeah. That's good. Thank you. I'm sorry to take over that portion.
No, I appreciate that connection.
I just wanted to know. That's
why
awesome.
I call you.
The second part of that question was when he met me.
Oh, okay.
Zach and I found
humility.
all the right answers.
Right.
Pride could be the Achilles heel of every generation. All right. Practice number 4. And I love this one because this is an extension of what we've been talking about to a degree. Vocational discipleship. I think that, again, like church system just reinforces some of the problems that have led to us not reaching people or people not finding church relevant or not even feeling safe to enter into that environment. I think the idea behind this one for me is like what percentage of people are like church workers, pastors? And what do the other 99% of people do? Like, can they connect their faith to their job in everything that they do?
Well, and I think too, I was reading some like kind of reviews. They were talking about, millennials. Oh, they suck. Like they want to work because of passion and they think they can make a difference in this world. Like, and a lot of times the older generation is like, no, you got to work hard, be disciplined, do the 8 to 5, whatever, provide for your family. Like let work be work. And in this sense, I feel like we have to let the younger generations lead the older generations into realizing like kind of creating a theology of work. Oftentimes we understand work to be something that like just has to happen in order to pay the bills. But are we looking even back to Genesis of like, no, like even in the garden there, we were working, like we had meaningful work. We were tilling the ground, the soil, like we were partnering together in that to cultivate like God's creation. And so it's like, what does it look like to allow the youth to lead the older folks in that?
And I also like this one. This is just where I think my heart gets pulled a little bit because going to college was involved in ministry and lived with guys that are now in seminary and pursuing that because that's what was laid on their heart. But it wasn't. I've never once felt like I want to go work at a church or be a pastor or anything like that. I want to go work because there's these things I love to do and I come alive when I do them. And with that, there's been sometimes just this disturbance in me of like, I feel like it's super possible to work somewhere, never say the word Jesus, and just do a job with passion and zeal. And at some point, someone's going to ask, what is different about you? Or at some point, you're going to be at the table where the guy or woman who has influence asks, how are you able to do this? And that it just always comes back to me for, his name is literally, I think, Gregory Thornberry from King's College. Heard him give a talk one time over Daniel. That's really where this journey for me started. And he said, point blank, it is not enough to have faith. You have to have the chops to get the job done. And I think a lot of times we think, oh, I have faith, so now when I show up at work, I'm going to make a difference. And I think that's well intended, but it's, do you work at that? I think that's something my generation can take from the older generation of calloused hands, hard work, putting in the effort, but then marrying that with, I want to do this because there's purpose behind it. Because when I do this job, this gets to happen. Just like Daniel, he learned the language. He proved himself, and then he was at the king's side. He didn't just evangelize and end up there. It's a completely different route.
Yeah, we were at a screening for Blue Like Jazz. Did y'all read that book or see that movie?
Yes.
It's great. Check it out. But they were interviewing the main actor, and they asked him, hey, what does it look like to live your faith out in Hollywood? Hollywood being like the ultimate Babylon, right? And he's like, well, it starts with me showing up on time and putting in work.
Yeah.
And then from there, that gives me the relationship and the influence to be able to share what might seem crazy to everybody else. It's this idea of countercultural mission. And so, yeah, we could definitely learn from that. I think it all starts with, do I view my work 40 hours every week as mission? And do I invite God into that space? Hopefully so.
I love that.
All right, so last but not least, practice 5. They gotta like just throw us under the bus here. It says curb entitlement and self-centered tendencies. I don't know who struggles with that. Probably Gen Z, right? But by engaging in countercultural mission. And so this is when my faith came to life. Like, I love this. I love church, but I love church outside the box too. When we're just able to step into God's mission and partner with him, like what an honor that is. It took it from answers on a page to something that was living and breathing, and something where I had to invite God in consciously and actively. And so, what about you guys? You say every day, like, so what's the idea, like storming hell with a super soaker, or this is your one opportunity to like piss off the devil. So you just embraced this because this is your only opportunity to embrace, like, to step into this countercultural mission.
Yeah, to me, I'll tie this back into practice 1. If you want to teach a younger generation how to have intimacy with Jesus, have them do something for Jesus where their life is really at risk. That's not happening. We're not even, we won't take them to a foreign country that might be dangerous. We won't even have them do things in the U.S. that could be dangerous, like, working on the front lines with homeless people at night, when there aren't police and lights and protection around, or women who've experienced trafficking. Can we get teens involved early on to see evil and injustice up front and close, and put them in harm's way to say, hey, what we're about to do is not safe. I cannot guarantee anything. I can guarantee it will be real. And we're going to talk about these issues, and here's how we're going to experience Jesus in the process of being on mission with him. Because being on mission with Jesus is never safe. Yeah. And so that is the biggest paradigm shift that I think has to happen.
Yeah, I think IJM, International Justice Missions, they wrote a book a while back, and it was the idea of cul-de-sac Christianity. Right. Like, we want a safe, comfortable Christianity with a white picket fence and a well-paying job and a 401k, whatever that is, and 2.1 kids. But that's not, we were never promised safe. We were never promised easy.